It's us. It's us. It's always gonna be us. It will never not be us. I had a discussion with a buddy of mine the other day, and his whole argument against why rappers are ruining rap is to say that these guys are being put in the position to give trash music that means nothing and people are eating it up. And I asked him, is it the fault of the company for giving you rotten food, or is it your fault for constantly eating it after you find out it's rotten? Constantly putting your hand in a boiling pot of hot water. You've been burned before. Why you think it won't happen again, I don't know. Regardless of what the repercussions are, you still always know what's gonna happen when you stick your hand back in there. His whole argument was...
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Shake Master J, as always. And the date is November 24th, 2017. Post Thanksgiving weekend. This video was recorded. And today, while I get the Eminem Tommy Loren video, ready, I wanted to talk about something pretty special. And I want to make sure this is done before I even get any rest. When it comes to hip-hop music, I officially fell in love with hip-hop music by 2005. 2004, I was around it during 5th grade. And there were some pretty good songs before that I thought were pretty good, but I always liked alternative music, like, the stuff I heard from Cool 105.5 in West Palm Beach, Sunny 105.5, the oldies as they like to call it, songs that were made in the 80s, 90s, and even 70s, but probably won't go that far. But the whole Phil Collins and all the other old school stuff. So I was in the alternative stuff, but hip-hop, I did not officially became a love of my life until Kanye West came in 2004, and the rest of the hip-hop acts stuck with me as 2005 started to roll by. And from then on there, I've always been a fan of any music hip-hop related that came out. There are some songs on the radio I just couldn't stand. I survived that era, and then there were songs that I enjoyed all the way but got too overplayed, because that's just how it is. But for the most part, this year of 2017 and 2016, thanks to Spotify, if you don't got it, go get it. If you're a student, get it, because they offer discounts. I have been, learning a lot more about old school and new school music all the way. SoundCloud as well. Now, recently, with the battles between Pete Rock and Waka Flocka, 21 Savage, Masoni, sorry, I might be mispronouncing his name wrong, there has been this ongoing battle now that's been brewing for quite some time, and now it's this battle between old school hip hop and new school hip hop, or to be more politically correct, this current state of hip hop and what was hip hop back in the day. I don't want to just say the 90s, but 80s too. Now, y'all could see, there has been, always that debate on, whether or not you should respect hip hop or rather whether or not you do, is hip-hop dead? Is hip-hop going down in art? Is the art dying? Aren't people respectful to the genre? You ask me, I support anything that's new, anything that's dope. I'm strictly behind new school hip-hop. But I do not support, and a lot of people think I don't support mumble rap. I don't like that term. B-Dope changed the name to Vibes. I support vibe rap, but I do not support rappers or hip-hop artists that do not, embrace this culture. Any rapper that gets attacked and yet people are like, leave him alone, or the rappers themselves like, I'm not a rapper. That's the lamest excuse. If you have to say that you're not a rapper, then I will not support you, because now you're taking advantage of a genre. Now you're being a culture vulture, and I don't do that. Or worse, I don't support rappers that don't come to terms with their sexuality. In other words, Young Thug, I will not support him. As okay as a rapper he is, he's had pretty dope features on many songs. I can't support a guy who will not answer questions to people who ask them, are you gay? At least Rich Homie Quan, who was being accused, went out and said, I'm not gay. I have to take his word for it. Even if the truth is more entertaining than the lie, at least you said you're not gay. And if you choose to come out, then that's you. But Young Thug, rather than answer the damn question, he posts photos of him and his girlfriend kissing. That doesn't answer the question. Are you gay or not? Say yes or say no. At least I will support you. But instead, you do these inconspicuous things and you say you're not gay, or you try to justify it by saying, well, I have a wife that you cheat on with another woman, and I don't appreciate that, because it's disrespectful, because now you're just trying to get attention by doing this, and you're not getting a dime from me. Period. I don't care how good your raps are. If you can't come out and say this, or you're going to get mad when you call yourself the new Tupac, and somebody comes out and says Tupac wouldn't wear a dress, and you got mad at that, well, you know what? He wouldn't. And you need to start really answering these questions. New Age Jerk Boy is another, an aspiring rapper. Waka Flocka calls him an aspiring rapper. Aspiring rapper, regardless. I respect what you're trying to say about him, but I'm gonna be straight up with you, Waka, on this case. I don't co-sign him. Not because he did a video with a wedding dress, and the video's there. I don't think I need to explain too much of the video. You know what I mean? The academics is right. You let Young Thug do it, not everyone else is gonna do it. That's fine. Even when he was on video and he was arguing about famous decks, a lot of rappers using fingernail polish as a gimmick. Yeah, it looks funny because now this gives, traditional, I don't want to say old heads, but this gives traditional hip-hop fans something to be disappointed in and say, oh, wow, this is what it is. People arguing over nail polish. That didn't bother me. What bothered me was when New Age Jerk Boy went on his video and said, I am not a rapper, I am a punk rocker. That annoyed me, because now you're not admitting that you're a rapper, but yet you do these, you post your videos on a hip-hop like site, World Star Hip Hop. You post lyrics, you post your video on that. That's a hip-hop that's a hip hop radio station. That's not a rock radio station. That's not a punk rock radio station. Actually go to punk rock radio stations. Like, geez, I don't know why these rappers just don't admit and come to terms and say, alright, I'm not gay, and just keep it moving. But to say you're not a rapper as well, that even pisses me off more, because now you're using our platform to get yourself over, and I don't support that. Uzi, Yachty, Jerk Boy, and any other artists that use hip hop as a platform but say they're not rappers. It annoys me. It annoys me deeply. But with that being said, I still support new school rappers. I still support vibe rappers, even though a lot of people feel they're not super lyrical. That's not what hip-hop is about. There are lyrical people there, but I'll get into that more as we get into deeper in this video. But that's my opening statement, is that I support new school hip-hop, and I'll support you even if you're a vibe rapper, like a 21 Savage or a Kodak Black or an XXXTentacion or Ski Mask God or an NBA Youngboy. If you're those type, A Boogie with the hoodie, Eminem, I support rappers like that. Always. And I am definitely against traditional hip-hop fans down-talking this current generation of rap. So here's how I'm going to digest this.
Right now, let's talk about hip-hop back then.
I'm with it.
See, look, y'all want to talk about, this not hip-hop, this not rap, y'all doing this mumbling shit, da-da-da-da-da. But back in the day, y'all used to be like, hey, you there. I'm at the store. I hate Judge, and I love war. Like, this is stupid. Like,
honestly, I feel like as long as you're making good music, bro, and you're putting out content,
come on.
Like, it shouldn't matter.
I just feel like people, like, you can't judge it. It just shows that you get older. Because think about it, when we get older, we probably might be judging that shit. We probably might be like, that's just the times. It's just the times, bro. Let the times be.
Now, the argument people are saying about hip-hop back then as opposed to hip-hop now are that lyrics back then, or that lyrics are not as complex. People are dumbing down. People aren't saying proper things in their lyrics. Denzel Curry had an interview with a radio station, and he pretty much said, back in the 80s, lyrics weren't that complex back then either. Now, Beto, from The Pride, went up and said, back then, sure, they didn't, but back then hip-hop was still a baby, and they were introducing new techniques in order to make it interesting. Here's the thing. Although that is a good argument, I have to disagree with that. Because at the end of the day, yes, although back then techniques weren't introduced, but even if they were, I could remember the times back then where, adults like my mom and all these other people used to say, oh, that's just talk. That's not real music. It's not going to last. And hip-hop was only 10 years old at this time. Hip-hop was only born in the late 70s. Hip-hop at this point was just a baby, So when this was around, not a lot of rappers actually used it for their music. Except, when they were doing New Jack Swing and a couple of R&B, people used a lot of their music to really rap for their third verse. So at the end of the day, there were dope lyrics back then, but people still look down on them, and it's a shame. But lyrics back then were hated on too, because people said, oh, that's not music, that's just talking, and that's a shame. So what makes it different now? What makes it different now? Because there are still artists that put techniques, even much more skillful techniques now than they have in the past. If they're not a vibe rapper, then there are really dope lyrics based on range of education, flow, double entendres, multi-syllables. I mean, there are literally rappers that can put 10 syllables in 1 second, I think 5 seconds, otherwise known as chopper rapping, or fast rap. There's harmony. There are so many techniques plus more, and all that is through the power of language arts. You use elements in your language, literature. You read, you learn diction and imagery and a lot of techniques into writing that you put that into your music, and it's already dope. And just because certain vibe rappers choose not to do that, it's still their own style, regardless. And although I understand Beto is saying that it's not hip-hop, and that's fine, I don't disagree with that. It definitely is a part of hip-hop. There's a place in hip-hop for these rappers. It's an adaptation, and at the end of the day, hip-hop is a subgenre where they have multiple genres indeed. But for the most part, I support these lyrics all the way. And to say, and I've always said this. I've always said this. If you have a problem with the vibe rappers, why are you listening or focusing on this genre? And I'm gonna focus on that in a little bit.